What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Best Albums, and today we're joined by RBX. Thank you for coming through, sir.
What's happening?
It's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and today RBX has selected one of the best rap albums of all time, maybe the best rap album of all time, man. Ice Cube, Death Certificate.
Yes.
Now, RBX, this came out in 1991. Cube was coming off Leaving N.W.A, coming off America's Most Wanted, coming off Kill It Will, and N.W.A went at him.
Right.
So for you, like, what was going on in LA? What was kind of the atmosphere? What was happening?
Okay, so I left college. I just left UNLV and came back to college. Came back from playing football, and the beef was going on with the end, and I'm thinking like, oh wow, and they were saying Cube left, and he was a turncoat and yada yada yada. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Well, I think what they didn't anticipate was, the tenacity and the heart of Cube, because he started firing off, and I was like, and I remember the whole thing. I was torn, you know what I'm saying, because I still have my allegiance to the Eazy-E team, because that's my dude right there.
Right.
But Cube on a creative level, and from an artistry standpoint, you have to give him his proper. So I'm torn. I'm like, uh-oh, they got problems. What are they gonna do? So it was interesting to watch the whole thing unfold, and I thought, as knowing the rules of hip hop, I thought, okay, this is what hip hop is all about. Okay, They funky. This was before everything got super turned up, but this was
violent,
right. and the extracurriculars started happening. But when it was just fisticuffs and knuckles, and you talking trash and we talking trash, I thought that was just ideal, perfect hip hop, and I think that was just like still right now one of the dopest things that ever happened.
And then before we even get to the album, I remember when I saw the album cover, I was like, wow, what is he doing?
I knew what he was doing. I knew exactly what he was doing, because me getting the enlightenment from my 5% brothers,
right,
and knowing that he was dealing with a brother Chuck. Mm-hmm. So he was getting enlightened. He wasn't just so much enthralled into the gangbang thing. It was the gangbang thing with intertwined with some enlightenment. So he's giving you a message, and that's what put it over the edge, because it's not just bang bang. And if you listen to the bang bang, you're gonna get a jewel.
Right.
So I don't know. I thought it was brilliant.
Well, I think one of the perfect examples of that, obviously, is Colorblind on the record.
Indeed.
And that one is one of the few that has a guest on it. So with that, he's got D.O.C on it, King T's on it, Cam. So for you, when you heard that song and heard Cube aligning with all these dudes, like, what was your initial thought?
I was thinking, okay, here come the streets.
Okay.
He done reached down on the block and got the Grimies, because King T was, at that time, King T, his album covers was him mobbing down the alley with the house shoes on and the pistol grip. Not just a regular shot. He had a pistol grip. Now that's just I don't know, when you see a pistol grip pump, it just looks ominous. It's like a rifle. It's letting you know right there, I'm right here with it right here. So I was like, okay, Q getting ready to do his thing. Mm-hmm. It's all bang bang. He went and got real MCs, real rappers, and now it's gonna be interesting to see what Dre and them do
as a response
on some raps.
Well, let's get into No Vaseline then. So with that song, many people consider that the best or one of the best diss songs of all time. So for you, growing up out here, knowing the history of the actual relationships of everybody, when you first heard that song, like, what was going through your mind?
I said, oh, somebody finna fade. Somebody gonna catch fade. He did that. Somebody gonna catch fades. And all the homies, they sitting around like, somebody would have did a song like that about me, I'll be all on that full bumper. So we were just waiting to see what was going to, you know, transpire from it, because, you know, it was like we was all watching this big movie. And I knew, when I heard it, I'm like, yeah, that's going to be hard to come back on, bro. That right there, ooh, that's like he shot a 50 cal. That was not a 22.
Right.
He went up and bust, so I don't know. Like I say, like I always say, I think that was hip hop history, and part of the West Coast legacy and legend. So yeah, you know, I always got respect for that.
And with that being said, we had at that point, a lot of the disses prior to that, they were like funny. They had a little bit of personal element, but in your opinion, as a writer, as a rapper, as an artist, what did Cube do differently to you to take that song to a different level that we hadn't seen in rap yet?
He get it raw and uncut. He took the candy sprinkles off of it. He wasn't worried about, you know, he was coming in the womb.
Right.
He was coming into womb. He wasn't really thinking about salvaging the relationship.
Right.
He was like, oh, we done. Okay, we done? We done? We done? I'm gonna let you folks have it. And that's where he came from. So, you know, it was a raw little thing he did.
Okay. Now, as for the rest of the album, which is phenomenal from top to bottom, Alive on Arrival. So we had a lot of problems with back then Killer King Hospital in LA, and like a lot of people going in for a minor cut or something, and then they end up with an amputation, or they end up, as the case in this song, with a dude dying from something he shouldn't have died from.
Right.
So for you, when you know that that's happening in the neighborhood, and then you hear this type of song, like what extra layer does that give to you as a listener?
It kind of validates what he's speaking on. Like, yeah, that's actual and factual. He's not talking about, you know, I got a pool on the wall and a Lincoln Continental. He wasn't doing that. You know, you was hearing that around that time, a lot of people putting a little emphasis on what they got to the one gold chain. I got 22 gold chains and putting extras on it, but this was a stripped down version, like I said, without the candy sprinkles, and it was a reality of the environment that we were in. Because a lot of cats from LA, we ain't seen New York. We hadn't seen New York. So we only knew what we in our little box. And in our little box wasn't nobody talking about what was going on. You know, we was dancing and whatnot. But as far as the realities, I would liken it to, but not quite to the message. But on the west side of things, you know, when Melly Mel did that, peace to Melly Mel, bro. When Melly Mel did that, it went around the world. You know, and it was just one of those kind of songs. But when Cube did it, it was kind of the same thing, but it was something that the cast that was right in that area could relate to. Killer King, and you know, people going in and getting a situation or a procedure done, and coming home and healing, and find that there's the instrument still in there.
Right. The scalpel still in
their leg.
Scalpel
still in their leg, and they done sold them up, and you trying to figure out, wait a minute, am I tripping, or is my stitches healed and I still got this poking thing? Wow. Somebody tripped out. So yeah, I thought it was right on point.
Yeah, and then he did a few things also on the album, on some of the other songs that were very different, especially at the time. Like the Us song, for instance, he explained a lot of racial stuff, but he also was like self-examination, like what are we as black people doing wrong, or how, excuse me, what are we as black people doing wrong, or how can we improve the situation? So for you, when you hear a song like that, where it's not only talking about the external forces with racism and how our society is set up to keep black people down, but then you have someone like Ice Cube who's really articulating and explaining it in such a amazing way to show like, oh, yeah, drug dealer, you're killing our community. Why are you doing that? We should not celebrate you. So when you hear that type of song, like, what do you feel as a person?
As a person, I feel that, you know, sometimes I get misread.
Okay.
You know, I went to college.
Right.
And I do realize. So sometimes if you're not enlightened and you don't know what I'm speaking of, I might sound like a Martian in you.
True.
So when I get to speaking about, you know, different continents and moved around the world and different cultures and different religions and different rituals and whatnot. I think it was enlightening to hear Cube, who everybody had pigeonholed in as a gangster, showing his growth.
Right.
Showing what, okay, this is what I was, this is what I'm becoming, I'm going here, and you actually seen the growth from just walking up to a motherfucker just blowing their head off to here. This is why we did that, and starting to break down the whole structure of why, the mathematics of it.
Right.
And I thought that was just dope.
And to that point, he had the Black Korea, he had the Horny Little Devil,
Yeah.
and he had the Giving Up the Nappy Dugout. So with those, he also took his targeting kind of outside, the white system to white women, to the women in general, and then to the stuff that was going on in the community with the tension between Asians and blacks in South Central in particular.
Yeah.
So with Black Korea, that obviously was inspired by a real life incident as well.
Natasha Harlan?
Yes. So with that, the girl who unfortunately had gotten shot over a container of orange juice that she wasn't even trying to steal.
Yeah, she had the money.
She had the money, and she left it on the counter and got shot in the back of the head.
I'm gonna just tell you the truth. That shit still bothers me to this day. I just seen a document or some dude being able to showing and how the court, how they and Maxine Waters was talking about she needs to get the judge knocked off the case, and I just thought about all the shenanigans, and then I was like, how you can't see that this lady was wrong?
Right. And they only gave her community service.
That's the extra slap in the face. That's what that's like, my God, bro. This is just way crazy, boy. You just gotta just deal with it and know what it is and saying, okay, man, and that's where the rage came from. So I think when Cube was touching on real points like that, you know what I'm saying, like the no Vaseline thing, and you slide back over here with the Killer King thing, and he hit you with this, and then he hit you with that. Just like a writer using the perfect words to add coherence
Yeah.
to they joint, it moved, and that's why I was like, okay. And I kind of just noted that. On how to do an album, and then you also, when you hear whack albums, you also note how not
to do it.
To do an album. That's in the category of how to do a joint, to make it move and yada yada. So it's a format for the young to study when they trying to paint their picture.
And Cube also had the death side and the life side, kind of like the tragedies going on, and then how to overcome them. And I Want to Kill Sam obviously is part of the awakening. So with I Want to Kill Sam, Cube, as he had done with N.W.A. and then on America's Most Wanted and even Kill It Will with Dead Homies in particular, he showed like how or why to rebel against the system with I Want to Kill Sam, and like why he felt this anger. So for you, writing wise and as a person, like how did you feel yourself identifying with that?
I felt myself identifying with it because I too was kind of going through a transition from gangbangerish LA to a universal thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I was, at that time, I was realizing, even though we caught up in this gangbang world, it's got to be something more for us.
Right.
We can't just be trapped into, I'm fighting you over your color. Even though people that don't know what's really going on in the city, it's not so much the color. The color has something to do with it, but it's a whole bunch of other things that goes along with the violence that comes.
Right.
But that's just the undercurrent that people never touch, and you probably won't touch it unless you from that
element. Right.
That part. So I don't know, man. Like I was saying, I agree with him because I seen the growth, and I knew when I hear from one level that you hanging with certain individuals. But then when I hear the growth over here, and I know what Chuck preaches, and I know what Griff preaches,
Right.
and then I hear he going from the gangbang thing to a more enlightened approach, and that's what I thought was like, okay, I see that. Do your thing, Cube.
So now looking back at Death Certificate, what do you think makes it a best album?
I would say the growth from Ice Cube, the combination of different styles, different subject matters, and as I spoke on previously, the coherence, the way the record moved, because I remember back in those days, I used to go straight to the joint that I liked.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And after the joint that I liked, then I would probably branch out. But this was one of them things you put on and you can hear the story moving. You really didn't want to you wanted to watch the whole movie.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I thought that was brilliant.
Well, there it is, y'all. I'm Soren Baker. That's RBX on Best Albums, Ice Cube, Death Certificate. Make sure you listen if you haven't already.
All right, peace. Y'all know what it is. Church.